right, folks, you're live with Alonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop. And today I'm here with a brother, partner of mine, who had a radio show I was a guest on a regular basis. And we got into some of the most in-depth debates about various issues of the community, hip hop being one of them. And today he said, man, I need to talk. I got something on my mind, on my heart. I need to get it off my chest. I said, come on, I fired the camera up, let's make it happen. Today, my guest is a brother of hip-hop lover, hip-hop enthusiast from the gate. Brother Easton, what's up with you, Doc?
What's up, Lonzo?
Hanging out, man, hanging out, Doc. Just trying to make it happen, dude. Yeah. Now, you and I were talking earlier about some things off camera, and you want to just share that with the audience. Let's get it going.
Yeah, just an interesting discussion. So, what motivated me what prompted this discussion, I should say, is, we all living through these times that we're in. Everybody, all America, the whole world really is trying to adjust and make it through all this time we're going through. Everybody's affected differently, but we all trying to get through it. And during this time frame, for the past about month and a half, I would say, 2 months, I've been in some serious discussions with people.
Okay.
Be it online with texting or verbally. People are scared, rightfully so. You have people who are scared. You have people who are confused, and people who are just like don't know what to think. So all of that confusion or those variables creates interesting conversation.
Okay.
And one thing, Alonzo, I noticed with a lot of the conversations I've been having with some people is the fact that the reactions and the way people are maneuvering in their behavior, a lot of it has to do with, for lack of a better word, or the only way I could put it is a lack of experience.
Okay.
And I noticed like comments that I'm hearing from people that have me scratching my head are comments that are coming from people, and it's no fault of their own. I'm not putting them down, but I'm just being honest. It's coming from people who haven't been through anything. They haven't experienced any tough times on a social level. Maybe personally, they've been through this or that. I'm not saying
a lot of them think because they've been through hood bullshit that gives them qualified to be known about that hood bullshit. That's just what it is, bullshit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It had nothing to do with real life.
Exactly.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm listening to certain comments and I'm going, wow, why are these people? Why are they reacting this way? I mean, come on, man, be real, Lonzo. You got to tell me, toilet tissue and water.
Really? That always confused me too, Doc. The water I can almost understand, but
it ain't like your sink gonna stop working,
right? It is. Me and my nephew laughed about the same thing. My nephew said, "Man, I bought 2 bidets. I bought 2 portable bidets and a water filter. In fact, my lady bought a water filter. I ain't bought a bottle. I bought a bottle of water yesterday because I was in my van. It was hot.
Right.
I didn't put it into my truck. Right. Okay, but since then, I got a big bottle of filtered water in my refrigerator in my office, and that's what I drink. So to me, that move didn't make any sense. I'm trying to figure out who spiked that move. Or was that a test of ignorance?
Right. And I'm going to get to that too. I can circle back to that. But that was one of the first things that tipped me off. Like, I'm sitting back going, toilet tissue and water.
Butter and guns.
It's not an earthquake. It's not a force of nature where everything's getting just bombs dropping everywhere and people think they got to go in their bunkers and just, So I'm thinking to myself, toilet tissue and paper. Okay, this is how people are reacting to this. And then, of course, you've seen all the mayhem and hysteria, long lines out of Walmart and Costco, and which was funny, too, because if this was such a deadly plague, why are you standing in line amongst everybody? It's like, it's counterproductive. It's like the media telling you all this fear tactics, and you got all these people inside it just got me thinking, like, what is going on here? So as time progresses, I start hearing these comments, these reasonings and stuff, and I notice, I'm like, okay, this is a trip. And most of the comments that made me think the most are coming from people who are like 30 years old.
Okay.
They're 30 years old, which means they pretty much was born in the beginning of the 90s.
Right. They barely saw the riots.
Right. They're drawing on their experience, and to be honest is that the stuff they have to draw on is really not that.
It's very limited.
Pertinent, yeah.
Very limited.
Very, very limited. It's like
This is their first real
social discord or social uprising.
Upheaval.
Upheaval. Something that's just disturbing the whole norm, Right. And this is the first time they're going through something like this. And I heard an interesting concept a while ago, Lonzo, is that people, if you look at every decade or history, a lot of about your parents, their parents, they all went through something through their history.
Okay.
And when you go through something very, very historical, it proves your worth.
Okay.
From famine to influenza to World War I, World War II, civil rights, dealing with all that. Those people were strong people, and you had to pay respect to them because you know their history and what they had to go through.
Right.
Well, if you look at the 90s, and I'm not discounting people, I'm just telling you how the world works, how people are affected. Even growing up, you have to prove yourself.
Right.
You couldn't just come out and say, I'm great.
Right.
You got to prove you're great. That lip service don't work.
Okay.
So that happens generationally as well. His history shows you're not going to argue with a World War I vet or a World War II vet.
Not supposed to.
Yeah, you ain't going to sit
not about World War I or World War II. No,
right.
They were there.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And as far as going through hard times and dealing with that time, then you just tip your hat to them and go, hey, hey, that's a real dude,
Well, you know what, man? You saying that about what what we're talking about right now. I have people that will argue with me about shit that I did.
There you
okay.
Go. There you
go. Man, I saw the movie. Huh?
Right.
You saw me the movie twice, 3 times for what? Maybe a total of 8 minutes.
Right.
I've been doing this for 40 years. Okay.
Right.
There's stuff that people in the movie don't know that I did. But before I got to the movie.
And they'll tell me
my history.
What you did.
They'll tell me what I did.
And debate you.
Argue.
And you did it. But they telling you what you did.
I got a line for them. If you were so smart, you wouldn't be living with your mama. If you were so smart, you wouldn't be living with your mama.
I hear you.
So, it's just amazing how, especially this younger generation, no disrespect to it, because some of them will sit down and listen.
Right.
But there are some who want to make their point no matter how wrong. They make you want to just show this.
Right. Because, for example, I have one cat, and this is part of why I'm happy you got me here, and this is part of the discussion. He made a comment on this thread I'm on with several other dudes. I respect all of them. They my homies, and we co-workers and stuff. We had a good time together during certain phases years back. But he made a comment like, yo, Stone, I don't think you really F with young black people. If they ain't born in the 80s, you don't want to deal with them. And I was like, dude, you have no clue at all.
Wow.
And that's why I'm kind of doing this as well. See, what people have to understand is if you take away history, and then if you perpetrate as if you know what that historical data and those events and those experiences were all about, you perpetrate, you have no clue, but you acting like you do, you can easily dismiss things. Case in point, I made a comment about how, I forgot how this came up, but I made a comment about how important Bill Cosby was to the black culture.
True.
Instantly, they said, again, the 30-year-olds, probably a little bit older than 30, but this shows their lack of experience. Bill Cosby is a rapist. He ain't nothing. They're making jokes about him, start sending me memes about him and stuff, just making jokes. I'm like, it just shows me instantly, you guys have no respect. You have no historical reference. You don't even know how important Bill Cosby was to black people and black culture.
Right.
But you're dismissing them so easily because of your ignorance. And you don't see how ignorant they are. I was totally insulted. I was like, now I understand Bill Cosby has been tried and he's in jail and they claim he did all of this and that. But I'm like this, Lonzo. Now you tell me, you meet me 15 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am a financial expert.
Okay.
You employ me for my services.
Okay.
I take my expertise, apply it to you. Next thing you know, within 3-4 years, your portfolio has grown.
Okay.
You're making excellent money.
Okay.
You can live anywhere you want.
Okay.
I did for you exactly what you was hoping for.
Right.
And you set, right? Your kids going to college and everything.
Okay.
15 years later, you see me on TV and I'm being tried for embezzlement, all other sorts of heinous things. Now, would you discount what I did for you? Is that totally just erased and forgotten? And I'm just this bad. I mean,
hold on. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying because that is. I forgot what they call it, man. But there's a name for that because I've seen this more. I've seen this in real life, up close and personal.
Mm-hmm.
Not just from a celebrity standpoint, but from people in general. People have done great things for individuals,
mm-hmm.
and then that person does one thing that the person did not like, and everything that he did to them for them automatically becomes null and void.
Right.
And that's the only thing you focus on for the rest of your life.
As a matter of fact, that's what they do to us in court.
Right.
It's like you've seen it many times where somebody of color is being tried, and the way they prosecute them has nothing to do with what happened. They just attack their character.
Right.
Well, he in 19 so he stole a bag of chips, and in the following year,
the homeboy that got shot.
Right.
They said he was a shoplifter. Well, when he was jogging down the street, there was no sign on the back on his back of the head, his back saying that I was a shoplifter back in 1992 and I was a teenager. Okay, you didn't know none of that right there, and it's amazing. Every time a brother gets shot, he's behind on child support.
Right.
He was a drug user, drug offender.
Exactly.
But at the time he was engaged with the police or whoever he was dealing with, none of these things was a factor.
Exactly.
They were not. He did not wear a T-shirt saying "I'm a drug offender, child molester, behind on my child support."
So it's a character assassination to justify why they're going to do what they're getting ready to do, and one has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
So my question is, I was very upset because I know good and well Bill Cosby was a very, very important part of our culture in the 60s and 70s and 80s. I mean, heck, he did the Cosby Show.
The I Spy.
Yeah. I mean,
one of the first black men on TV. Every time I saw Chet Kincaid on TV, I had to go watch. That was the name, Chet Kincaid.
Right.
Okay.
And we grew up with the Cosby Show, Cosby Kids, the animated cartoon. And more importantly, Bill Cosby was an activist. He really, really used his power because people fail to realize how much of an influence he was on us.
But you know what also people fail to realize, and this is something I have to say from a personal standpoint. And what I'm about to say right now, folks, has nothing to do with my man over here. This is some Lonzo's personal experience. Okay.
All right.
I was a grown man in the 80s. I was a grown man when Quaaludes was popular. I was a grown man when cocaine was popular.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you I'm no angel. Right. Okay. I'm not going to tell you I had to ever give anybody anything to go to sleep with me. But what I do know, because of the price of this stuff and the scarcity of it, if you had it, it increased your chances. That's all I'm telling you.
Just being real.
That's all I'm telling you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And see, people don't realize, and I'm going to get off this Bill Cosby thing, get back to what we talking about, but people don't understand, nobody's saying what Bill Cosby was tried for is lightweight. If it's true, he's paying the price for it, which he is. So I'm not making light of that. Right. I'm just saying, don't dismiss the man and the importance of who he was and his importance during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and so forth. Right. You don't erase his history and just dismiss him like he's nothing.
Right.
Now he's paying the price for his crimes. He didn't get away with nothing, apparently. So the point I'm making is how quickly we are to dismiss something when you don't understand.
If we don't look out for our own, who does? We the first ones to jump on the bandwagon and shoot them down.
Right. Okay? And it's so frustrating. So getting back to why that came up.
Go ahead.
When you hear these kind of comments, you just sit back and go, what is the common denominator in these funny comments that I'm hearing? And again, it's because people are saying things because they don't know the importance of a particular person, a particular time frame, or a particular event. So here we are, you got this thing going on right now. And what I wanted to talk to you about, Alonzo, moving forward on this conversation is that when you draw back on history, your experiences. Now, I was born in 66. Okay. So, and I got to we got to put this in here, this little part of the formula. One thing that gets me upset when I look at people doing these talk shows, and be it sports, be it social, what have you, I get really upset, Lonzo, when someone is talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and they wasn't even born when this man was doing his thing.
Right.
But they're making comments as an expert as if they know. They didn't get to live it. They didn't get to see it. They didn't understand the pressure. You know, when you live and breathe, when you live, breathe, and taste that air, and you were there, you understand the magnitude of the person. And then they make these comments and some disparaging remarks or here and there. When I'm like, dude, either you wasn't even born or you was crawling in the living room.
Understand this, man. The people that hired those people don't know. You don't want somebody like Alonzo, who's a grown man, experienced gas lines, experienced the first ride. I was 8 years old in the first watch ride. Right. So when you got somebody like that in a influential position, you can't just give me a sheet of paper and have me read off of it.
Right.
Okay. Right. And tell me and disseminate these facts because that didn't happen back then. Right. I was there. I went there. Blah 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 blah. So they hire people. They may hire somebody a little younger than me to be head of the department. Then they got people even younger than that who don't know that they don't have any they don't have any cross examination skills or experiences to say, hey, no, that didn't happen right there.
Right, exactly.
So that's how we get what we get.
And the danger in that is that these young people are absorbing this information
they take it in
from sources that wasn't even there, and it's all opinionated. So here I am trying to express myself to these people and other people I've been having conversations with. I'm noticing, I'm like, wait a minute, man. It's like, you're discounting things that people are trying to tell you.
Okay. And
you're discounting them, and you wasn't even, you don't have anything to,
there you go.
You don't have any experience to say what I'm saying or somebody else saying is wrong. So this is what I did. I said, okay, so we're going to throw that little formula in there.
Okay.
When you're talking about particular eras, if you were only 3 years old, look, the average human being don't know anything about anything when you're between 1 and 12.
Right.
I'd give somebody certain percentage of people, maybe 13, but definitely we start getting to 14, 15, 16. That's when you finally can understand a little bit of context. You respect and value things because you have a little bit better understanding. When you're 12 years old, you don't, I mean, when you're 4 years old, you can't really understand the significance of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar breaking the all-time scoring record or the importance of a Martin Luther King, why we celebrate this holiday. You don't know what that's all about. Right. You're just seeing us doing it, but you don't understand why and the significance. So you got to always keep that right there front and center. So here we are. Let's share some things we went through, Lonzo, growing up. And you're a little older than I am, and I freely admit, I'm born in 66, right? Mm-hmm. So that means by the time the 70s rolled around, by the end of the 70s, I was 14 years old.
Okay.
I was born in L.A., Los Angeles. I went to Russell Elementary School right off of Manchester. I can't say I understand everything about the 70s. I can't because I was only a little kid. But I remember the feel and the look and how things were in the 70s.
Now, I remember everything about the 70s.
And you can elaborate on that.
At 1979, I was 21 years old. So I'd already been through 1979. I was 21 years old.
There you go.
So I'd already been through the tie-dye, the hippies, the Black Panthers. I remember when they were shooting down on 54th at the Black Panthers. They had to shoot out with the police. I remember when Sing Q and Patty Hearst had to shoot out with the police, like it was on the news.
And that's significant.
I remember that, okay?
Right.
I remember the watch riots when they were coming down the streets with refrigerators and groceries and carrying sofas, because we had a department store up the street from my house. And shortly after that, here comes the National Guard.
Right.
Okay? And true story, I'll tell you this, it's honest to God truth. Where we lived we lived on a hill. And we had our backyard with our garages on the side of the house, and you had to come off the main street to go into the garage. Mm-hmm. And we had just put the garage there. We didn't have a fence up. So I was being the oldest. I was the only one authorized to go out in the street to get the basketball when they rolled out to the street. Mm-hmm. One time I go get the basketball, and I find a bullet, big ass bullet, big ass M16 bullet, about that long. Right. I got a bullet. So I'm like 9 years old. Right. I got a bullet.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You know, that's like having a frog. Okay. Yeah. I got this bullet. I got this bullet. Don't know how dangerous this bullet is. And my sister snitched on me. Okay. And told my mama I had this bullet. My mama whooped my ass, took my bullet.
Of course.
But what I saw Shortly after that, when next time the National Guard rolled down the street, my mama was 5'3". She ran up on, flagged them down like she needed gas or something, and cussed their asses out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And these big corn-fed white boys, wasn't no blacks on the truck at all. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And she would run off. You got kids playing in the streets. Y'all dropping these bullets. What are y'all trying to prove? Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay. Right. And me and my sister and brother out there, mama crazy, but she was when it came to her kids.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I remember that. So when I see certain things happening today, especially with mamas, that bothers me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I remember my mom would, I was coming down the hill, leaving the grocery store. Some of the older guys out there smoking cigarettes, not weed,
right.
cigarettes. Right. And I stopped to kick it with them. I like kicking it with the old dudes. I've always been like that.
I was the same way too. Yeah.
I'm kicking with the old dudes, and I went home smelling like smoke. My mama thought I was smoking. I didn't smoke. I just stopped there and talked to Jerome and so. She got to put her wig on sideways and walked up the hill. Okay, and next time my boy come on smelling like smoke, I'm kicking all y'all asses. Yes, Miss Williams. I'm sorry, Miss Williams. And every time I would come down here, y'all go across the street, man. I want to hear your mama's mouth. Right, okay, right, they ran my ass off like a rabid dog. Right, okay, I felt bad for a while, but I realized it was for my own good.
Right, and okay. That's the experiences. A small segment of experiences that you were there living.
Right.
So what I'm saying is we went through periods of strife, periods of celebration, all sorts of things. I'm just going to list some things as we talk about this because this is important because it applies to what's going on now.
Okay.
So that's the thing people don't understand.
It's all related.
It's all related. There's nothing new under the sun. That's a true statement. No matter what you see and experience, it's already been done, just in a different shape or form, but it's essentially the same. Mm-hmm. So by going down these decades, we want to share with you guys on why you should step back and really listen to people who are older than you, people who have been through things, because it'll give you a better perspective on what's happening right now. See, a lot of times people take advantage of the naive or the people who are easily sensationalized, easily manipulated because you don't know a lot.
Right.
So those kind of people, it's easy to get them to react a certain way. Mm-hmm. But a person that's seasoned, that's salted, that knows what's going on, you got to do more than that to fool me.
Right.
And history helps with that. So let's talk about this. So one of the first things I can remember as a kid growing up, and I didn't really understand it till I got a little older, but I seen it and was a part of it, was the ascension of Black people in the late 70s and 80s.
Okay.
You know, in the LA area, we got cities like Inglewood, mm-hmm. Carson, Linwood, Compton. In that period of the late 70s and early 80s, you had a lot of Black people who were now purchasing homes.
Right.
No longer in apartments or projects. Now I'm speaking in the LA area.
It was easy to get a house back then.
Yeah. It was like, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying a large influx of.
It was a goal. It was an attainable goal.
Right. And you start seeing neighborhoods in middle America neighborhoods, not ghettos like they always show us on movies and stuff. But these were Black families living in homes with a front and backyard, a driveway, mm-hmm. the whole nine.
Garages, everything.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, after this ascension, you start seeing it with your own eyes and experiencing it. Crack cocaine comes out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Crack cocaine.
Well, see, one thing about Black folks, we've always been able to take nothing and make it into something.
Right.
Whether it been whether it was Oklahoma, Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, we took, y'all don't want it, we go right over here and make it happen.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It could be chitlins, take a pig, the worst part of the pig,
right,
turned into a delicacy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We could hip hop, turn nothing into something.
Exactly. So the point is, okay, so we going through this. We don't fully understand it at the moment, but we knew something was up because we not growing no cocaine out here.
Right.
Where's this stuff coming from?
Right.
You know, so Black neighborhoods are devastated. Black families are devastated because this crack is pouring in to all these neighborhoods. Then later on, of course, how it always works this way. 25 years later, the truth comes out. They'll make a movie.
Right.
A lot of people make a lot of money off the movie, showcasing the misery that was inflicted upon us by others. And now other people getting rich off of our story. And we don't get none of the residuals or nothing. Just
Now, you know what's really funny, man? If you ever pay attention to The Godfather, when the Godfather finally decided he wanted to get into the drug business, because for a long time, the mafia wouldn't get involved with the dope business.
Right.
They no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Right. All of a sudden, when they decide to get into it, they say, I'll tell you what, we'll drop it off in the nigga neighborhoods.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
We'll let the niggas use that shit. That's how they made their money. And that's how so many then you got guys came in later on and took it over from the mafia, but they just took over the destruction of their own people for money. Go ahead.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a whole, I get what you're saying though, but the point I'm trying to make is that then later on we learned that a particular president at that time was involved with the machinations and the plan to actually allow that stuff into our neighborhoods.
Right.
All right. So I believe Reagan, you know, and they make movies about it now, you know, everybody.
He turned down the aid to one group, and then Oliver North said, "Oh, we got to have this war, so we're gonna finance it this way."
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, that's how we got crack cocaine and Snowfall, the movie.
Right. Snowfall is telling it, showing everybody the truth. You know, it's sad we have to learn the truth that way, but that's what it is. But we lived through that. Okay, we got stripes from that. We watched the devastation. We had to deal with the residual effects of that evil plan.
Mm-hmm.
Then we keep moving forward. Then we have to deal with this HIV thing.
Okay.
All of a sudden, this thing called AIDS is ravaging people. Now, the reason I'm bringing these topics up, again, is because you learn from history. What you've been through, what we've been through can help you with what's going on now.
Right.
Now, people may be asking like, well, how does that pertain to now? Well, it pertains in so many ways. First of all, it pertains to your thinking process.
True.
Because once you've been jaded once a scheme has been put on you one time, 2 times, 3 times, you know what a scheme looks like.
Mm.
You know there's certain indicators to look for.
Right.
You're not easily rattled.
Right.
You're not running out buying toilet tissue and water.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You are more collective in your thoughts, and you're looking at every level in this game to see and confirm that this is some funny stuff, because we've been through all of this stuff. Now, HIV.
Okay.
Pandemic. We're dealing with some hard times right now. HIV came out and people were dropping off left and right. I have a best friend to this day. I miss him. He died of it.
Mm.
So this was not something that gave you flu-like symptoms. This was something like, once you get this,
death sentence.
That's a death sentence. And it was so devastating. I can remember to this day, Lonzo, at the time I was working at McDonnell Douglas in Long Beach.
Mm.
And I remember when Magic Johnson announced that he was HIV positive.
Okay.
And McDonnell Douglas is a huge plant. We work on planes, thousands of workers. Everything got silent. And everybody rushed to the break rooms where the televisions were at. And when we saw Magic up there and make that announcement, people started crying. Because that's how devastating HIV was. You're gone when you get this. At least normal folks.
Right.
You know, some people ain't got money. But at the time, we just knew Magic wasn't going to be around too much longer.
Right.
So it was heartbreak. So it's the reality of going through these things that toughens you and makes you look at things a certain way.
Builds your muscle.
Yeah, it builds your muscle. It builds your character, because you know, wait a minute, they saying this and that, but wait a minute, we went through something like all that. So why are they doing this? So when you think that way, it opens up more questions instead of just believing what you're hearing from the mainstream media and running with that. But if you don't have anything to compare it to, then all you got is what they're telling you.
And you got a jaded foundation of information from the beginning, so you'll never know the real truth, because you automatically been misinformed. So you even as you move forward, you're gonna be based on misinformation.
Right, because you can't compare it to nothing.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get people to see. This disconnect. You know, we got people in place, such as you, such as me, others out there, where people need to listen, because that experience can explain what you're going through right now.
Right.
I mean, we all being careful. We all got to watch ourselves and everything. But we know what a pandemic is like. We know what death is like. We know when the HIV showed us, when you get, man, that was some scary times.
Yeah, man.
I was scared.
Yeah.
Everybody was.
And I was a playboy. I was slinging Mr. Ween. Mr. Johnson was having a ball for a while. Did he? I'm gonna get me a girlfriend.
People were checking their tongues, looking at their mouth, everything. People was like, what the heck is going on? Then later on, we find out it was created. Wasn't natural. But during the time frame, the news and everything is acting like this is a natural thing.
Somebody slept with a monkey.
Yeah, exactly. And then later on, the truth comes out, and we learn that this stuff was all man-made.
Wow.
But when you go through stuff like that, that's more data in your brain.
Right.
Because you lived it and went through it.
You realize the potential of foul play.
There you go. So when people are trying to speak on things like this and you're dismissed by people who haven't been through things, that gets very frustrating.
Very frustrating.
Because it's like they're saying you don't count, what you're saying don't mean nothing. I done Googled this. What are you trying to tell me? I know all about this. And they Googling everything, but they haven't lived nothing.
Right. You trying to tell them the fire is hot, the fire. No, it's not. That's not fire. That's fire, dude. No, that's not fire. Ah!
Right.
And it's the same thing you try to, that whole scenario, that whole misinformation scenario goes so deep when it comes to, especially our people.
Right.
You know, when I look at how long gangbang has been around, okay, I always use that as a reference. I was around when they first invented gangbang. First introduced the first major gang incident at the Hollywood Palladium. Okay, the brother got killed. They killed him to take his leather jacket. And I was at the Watch Stacks. I was 16 years old at the Watch Stacks, and I was watching Tookie and Jamel beat guys' ass, taking leather jackets. And I watched the whole mob mentality of people just walking through the whole thing, taking this. Everybody became an instant crip. Okay, that day at the Watch Stacks concert to get along and not get jumped on, and to see that, and then also see the Black Panthers walk down my street. They was recruiting us. Okay. They recruited us. You know, if you want to be down, if you want to, tired of this, blah, 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 blah. And I was trying to, okay, sign my mama stats my ass. You can't be no Black man.
Right.
You know, they wanted by the police.
And that's some serious life experiences that you've been through. And it pertains to now. People don't understand how that pertains to now. It really does. Yeah. You know, you're looking at a life right now where a lot of these kids, when I say kids, I'm like, people, you 30 years old, man, we didn't grow up with this internet. We didn't grow up with phones that record videos and social media and all this information coming at you in all kind of different directions. And you're trying to act like you can decipher what's truth and what's false. See, we grew up where there's a radio and a TV.
And you only had like 7 channels on the TV. And at midnight, it went off.
And people were more rigid, less impressionable. We're all humans. We're not all perfect. But what I'm saying as far as like when stuff rolled out, it had a process to go through.
I tell you something else. When the news came on, the news commentators read you the news. They didn't give you your opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now they read you the news, and there's somebody come on right behind him and redirect what he said to give you another opinion.
Right.
Okay. Right. Back then, we were allowed to think and come to our own conclusion, our own opinion, based on our own reasonable deduction.
There you go. As a matter of fact, they used to teach it.
Right.
Used to say,
reasonable deduction.
Reasonable deduction. And the way you get to the truth is you have to have opposing viewpoints, not just one viewpoint. And this is the thing people have to realize. When you're looking at the news and every channel is saying the same thing, you got to question that. That's a red flag. That's called an agenda. When there's just one universal viewpoint, one universal narration. So let me continue. So here we go. Now we got the crack. We deal with the crack, HIV. Now you got a president that comes along, and Bill Clinton, who enacts a law that begins the mass incarceration of Black folks for money.
Okay.
For money.
Okay.
Now, when you mention Bill Clinton to a lot of people of today, again, I hate to say it, but it's true. When you mention to a lot of young adults, he doesn't receive the ire that we give him. I don't like to do at all because of what he did to us, him and his regime. They put us in jail for money, people. They locked us up for profit. If that's not evil, I don't know what evil is. Not for the law or doing right thing, wrong thing, justice and all that. No, if you have a prison, you own that prison.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo, I'm gonna give you a prison, dude. It's your prison.
And you're gonna guarantee me occupancy.
But the way you make money is you gotta be occupied. That's what you asked me, like what you just said. Oh, don't worry, I got a plan for that. We're gonna have it filled to
build these prisons, and I'm gonna make sure you get some occupation.
Right. We got a plan for that. So you're about to get rich on imprisonment.
What? Are you saying I'm gonna do that?
Yeah. What kind of plan is that? I mean, who comes up with this stuff? What? It's just evil. That's all I can. That's the only word I can come.
And then it was and see, they use our personal taste against this, because at that time, crack cocaine was predominantly popular in the Black community, and white cocaine was pretty much popular in Hollywood.
Right.
So if you had crack cocaine, mandatory jail. Powder cocaine was rehab.
There you go. There you go. It's
so
all.
As long as you snorted it, you was good to go.
Right.
But as soon as you rocked it up, you got to go to jail.
Exactly.
That's like saying, as long as you got water, it's okay. But if you make it ice, you got to go to jail.
There you go. There you go.
That's some deep shit.
It's deep. But this is what we went through. We grow up in these eras.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm just showing you how these levels of BS have been piling over the last 30 to 35 years. People who grew up in that era, they grew up dealing with stuff. Now, in the meantime, and amongst all of that, in the 80s, late 80s, they took God out of everything. I remember that was a big movement, a big agenda.
First of all, they took corporal punishment out of the school.
Corporal punishment, took God out of school. And then after that was done, in the 90s, it became me. They started incorporating do you.
I got to back up one more time. First, it took corporal punishment out of the schools, and they took it out the households almost.
Right. They start telling parents they can't discipline their kids. So you got to understand, political correctness came into play. All of this stuff, it happened during the late 70s, all the way through the 80s. All of this stuff is being implemented. What we're talking about isn't a 40-year process. This went down since the late 70s, what we're talking about. In a 10-year period, you had all of these manifestations taking place, all these machinations, all these schemes are going down. And we, specifically as Black people living through all of this, had to deal with that. It affected us in a real way. It hurt us in a real way. And I think people don't understand how severe it actually was. And based on some of these comments and how people are reacting and some their conclusions to things, I'm going, what are you using for your base? How are you coming up with this? So you got political correctness come into play. Now that's controlling your speech. You really can't say what you want to say because you need to be politically correct. Then you got the me movement. All the music, everything start becoming about you. If you think 2 + 2 is 10, hey, as long as you feel that way, it's all good. All of this took place in the 80s, and then now we into the 90s, right? So now you got these kids who are born in the 90s. All of this BS is already brewing for them because now they're gonna grow up in it, not a victim to it, but actually born in it to where to them it's normal.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say?
So now we got grand crack babies.
Exactly.
Got grand crack babies.
So I'm going, and I mean, you know, Megan Hands. We talked to Megan Hands. He's a young dude. He even admitted, like, man, I never had nobody break it down to me like this. I didn't understand how all this stuff went down. So you got a lot of people, a lot of young adults who are operating on a limited mental or life experience capacity to make some of the judgments that they're making. And my concern is we're living in a time frame where a lot of these young adults, because they don't have any older uncles or grandparents or parents who could keep them grounded and make them truly understand the severity and the hardships and the things that were done to us through the 80s, they can't draw on that no more. And what they're drawing on is a environment of manipulation, and they don't even know it. Because you mentioned something to me earlier before we started the show about Colin Powell and his son.
Right. Before, I think it was 1994, Colin Powell's son, I think it was Michael Powell, was in charge of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. And late one night, they went in and signed this bill that deregulated ownership of the media. Okay, and basically before then, only a corporation can only own so many TV, radio, and newspapers in a certain area.
Well, not only that, private citizens can have their own radio stations in their garages and stuff.
Because I remember as a young wrecking crew cat, man, I remember going down, especially down south. Everybody had a radio station.
Yeah, you can have your own radio station.
And I remember, I'd never forget, man. One day we was going to a radio station. And, you take a radio station, you take some big antennas, right? Big fancy stuff, right? We drove through a cornfield for like a mile. There were some cows in the parking lot, and there was an antenna on a trailer.
There you go.
But because down south was so flat, that antenna will fly, man, from Louisiana to Texas, Mississippi, and they made money like that.
Right.
And all those radio stations got bought up.
Right.
And those antennas got
eliminated.
Yeah,
they just got
bought up. And so now, and that's what killed the independent music business, because the same thing happened with the music, because at one point in time, there were independent music distributors around the country that were smaller than Universal and Sony, but they would give independent labels an opportunity to get their product in the stores.
Right.
There was mom and pop stores. We couldn't get in the warehouse at first.
Right.
You couldn't get in Licorice Pizza. You had to have, that was for the big boys.
Right.
So they created another sub category called independent. So we had the same thing with radio. We had radio stations. We had P1s, P2s, which were the P1s were the big stations. P2s were mom and pops. Then you had major and independents. And so because we were all independent, you had independent distributors that would carry your product. And if you was lucky, you got picked up to go to the big leagues.
Right.
That was when you got to deal with a major.
Now look, this all of that right there, what you just heard, people, is see, you wouldn't know about that if you didn't live it and go through it. But because we lived it and went through it, we draw on that and can tell you why, when you hear statements where this music of today is garbage, or you guys are growing up in an era where they just straight up feeding you manipulation, go ahead and question us. And we can answer everything you have. If you deny us or you think we just talking out the side of our mouths, that experience right there would just prove to you. We bring data with experience. It's not just feelings, hate, no. It's real life data, because we've been through it. Effectively, what they did by taking away all the radio stations is they created the perfect mechanism to propagate propaganda, to implement propaganda, because now they control the radio stations. Before then, we controlled it because we had our own radio station. We could police our own music. But when they enacted that scheme, that erased us from policing our own music.
Now, here's another thing you're going to get hit with on the chat line. Everybody got podcasting, okay? There's millions of podcasts. Millions of podcasts are like blades, hay, straws of hay, okay?
Right.
There's millions of them. Which one? Only a few of them really get the attention. I'm lucky. I get some attention. I get a little attention, okay?
Right.
I don't have Joe Budden's numbers though. Okay.
Right.
I don't have Joe Rogan's numbers.
Right.
I got a little bit of attention because I'm Lonzo. Okay.
Right.
And because I don't do a lot of stupid stuff. I do funny. We funny all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do stupid.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I try to drop some game on folks. That's what this logo is about. G.A.M.E. Grown Ass Man Enlightenment. When you see that logo, we move out the way. That's what that logo stands for. That's why I got my other logo, Grown Ass Man Enlightenment. And that's one thing that we're lacking right now is some grown ass man enlightenment. That's why you got guys 50 years old still claiming sets.
I remember exactly. I remember doing my show. When we was on the hip hop tip talking about what happened to hip hop or in music in general. I had a clip from Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And the reporter asked Prince, like, because they were talking about how bad the music is. What happened to the music, soul music, the substance of music? Where is it at now? And Prince said plain as day, like, look, if you want to fix this, which he didn't think could be done, but the first thing you have to do is, or the reason why it's so bad now is because the music executives, the big industry leaders, they're signing young people.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, and this is what you got to understand. It's not a degrading thing when somebody say young people. What they mean is young people don't know nothing. So you ain't been through life. You haven't experienced life. So if you in a position to make music, your music is not going to have any substance because you ain't been through nothing. You haven't been through anything to put into your music. You can't be the Temptations. You can't be Marvin Gaye. You can't be Prince because they're signing kids.
Understand this. Everybody you just named, except for Prince, had an older writer writing their music.
Right.
Temptations didn't write their music.
Right.
Holland Dozier Holland wrote their music. Okay. Right. Smokey Robinson wrote their music. Okay. Right. They wrote their songs. So when you have an artist who has the talent and the energy, because it takes a lot of energy to be a performer. People don't understand that. It takes a lot of energy to rehearse 6 days a week, 7 days, 5 days a week, 5-6 hours a day, then perform that stuff and then travel. It takes a lot. I've done it. It takes a lot to do it. Okay. But on the same token, because they had older writers that could speak about love from a love perspective, nowadays, most of the artists speaking about fucking, because that's all they know about is fucking.
Right.
Dig this right here. I came up with this the other day. I was just sitting around thinking, and I remember I used to get affirmations in the morning, first thing in the morning. You're a king, you're a God, you're this. And it even took me back to when I was a kid. My nickname when I was a kid, my dad gave me a nickname. He never called me by my name. My nickname was Champ. My nickname was Champ. Come here, Champ. I got something for you, Champ. Let's do this, Champ. Okay. He never called me by my name. Even when I was grown. What's up, Champ?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that always made me stick my chest out. Yep. Okay.
Positive reinforcement.
So when you got them positive reinforcements, you got somebody that's constantly, subconsciously reinforcing you to be a better person. Why wouldn't that work in reverse if you a bitch and a hoe?
Right.
If you ain't shit, you just a nigga.
Right.
Why wouldn't that work in reverse?
Right. That's a great point.
Why wouldn't that, why would a negative affirmation have the same effect as a positive affirmation?
It ain't happening.
Okay. And you wonder why people, I got a call today, man. Somebody told me one of their relatives in law enforcement said, be careful. They got another 100 days, 100 nights of killing. Who's doing that?
Right.
Who does that to their own people?
Right.
Who just runs through the hood shooting at their own people? What? And then they said it's part of the game. And I said to myself, what game are you playing when the only thing you can do is lose?
Right.
Where's the prize at?
Right.
The prize is losing.
Right.
Because if you shoot somebody and hit them, you go to jail. If you miss them, you go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And if they shoot back and hit you, you die.
Oh.
What's the prize? Why is this game continue being played? And why nobody, but again, unlike the Black Panthers, who was doing good for the community, this other game destroys the community, like crack does, like this other shit does. It destroys the game, and here it is. It's a part of self-destruction. So if I can get you to kill yourself, then you can't blame me. But guess what? You just as dead.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get you to kill yourself in some way, form, or fashion, to talk you in and driving your car into the river, don't make no difference. Or take all these pills. Say how many pills you can take before you die without you dying.
Right.
Okay, and that's what we tell our kids. Our kids in the records are being a lot of them are being influenced by drug users.
Right.
How much Molly can you take? I'm taking this Molly. I'm taking this whatever it is. I'm taking this fentanyl, whatever the case may be,
right.
And that's my job to do this right here, and that's how I'm living.
Right.
And folks want to think that's how you get over. And that's why I said one of the worst things they could have did here. I'm finna get chat room lit up like something, bitch. They're finna let me have it. I know it. But keeping it real, when they start giving gang members high profiles in the media, it just made gang membership go up even higher. Because now that became a road to success.
Yeah, glorified. It became
glorified.
Lifestyle, a lot of bells and whistles, right. Videos, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So
money,
and nobody has said anything about that. And I got to tell you another story, man. It's a real story. When I was a young man, I used to love black exploitation movies. Mm-hmm. Nigga Charlie, Superfly. I loved all. Claudine was black exploitation, but it was good. I always had a crush on Diane Carroll. Coolie High.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, they started getting them super nigga movies.
Right.
With Fred Williamson.
Three the
Hard Way. And they whooping up all white boys' ass. And we go to
Three the Hard Way.
Okay? But then the NAACP stepped up and said, "Nah, y'all can't do that no more." If you watch Eddie Murphy's Dolomite movie, there's a scene where Dolomite goes to a white movie company to try and get his movie made, and they said, "Now, the NAACP is cracking down on all these black exploitation movies."
Right.
Okay. Well, at that time, I was about 17 years old, and I got mad at the NAACP for messing with my movies, because see, a black exploitation movie, you're gonna see some titties. You're gonna see some titties.
Yeah,
okay.
You're gonna see
I
a
like
lot of
titties.
stuff.
You're gonna see some ass. You're gonna see stuff you ain't never seen before.
You're gonna see a lot of stuff.
Okay. But what I realized as I got older, they did that for the benefit of us.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yep.
They did that. The NAACP stepped up and said, "You know what? Nah, y'all Hollywood, this underground thing y'all doing, this black exploitation movie, y'all hurting our people too bad. Y'all can't do this no more." And they stood up, protested. But now we have black exploitation music made by black labels, and ain't nobody saying nothing because they say they making money.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And the thing about that, Lonzo, I understand your point fully, and that goes back to, again, not drawing on past experiences. When you don't have past experiences, and they say this all the time, if you don't learn from history,
you'll make the same mistakes.
You'll make the same mistakes. And what I don't like about what's going down now is that we have a generation of kids, young adults, who they don't have nothing to draw on, so they Google everything.
Okay.
That's where they at right now, or they read it in a book. I had one dude tell me that. I said, "Man, how you know all, but you wasn't there? I read it in a book." I'm like, "Oh my God." So you read it in a book, and now you think you know everything.
Well, I got you beat. Alonzo, you didn't do that. I saw you in the movie.
Right.
Nigga.
Right. I mean, this is where we at. You're trying to discuss serious issues. And that's why they say there's a big void between people of our age and this new generation of kids. It's a void and I believe it's because people think they're heady. They think they know everything because now everything is at their fingertips. This is the problem. Like, they're not looking at experience as the great teacher. They're looking at Google as the great teacher, which is a fundamental flaw, because you'll hear comments like, "Bill Cosby ain't shit." What? And this is by somebody who's black and somebody who's not black. They're just making these comments where you go, "Nah, I know Bill Cosby did wrong." Understandably.
They don't take away from all his other accolades.
Right. So. But they didn't live through the era where Bill Cosby helped the black community. They didn't live through all of that times where Bill Cosby was a very influential man, activist in the black community, because they didn't live it. They wasn't there. So they could just dismiss important things as easy as Googling the next topic. And I find it very frustrating. It's like, because now you're trying to teach people, okay? Like, recently I did a class at Long Beach University.
Okay.
Bunch of black kids, predominantly black kids, age from 12, 13 to 17, 18. And I got to teach them about music, hip hop. That's my thing. Okay. And went down the whole road about hip hop, and the whole focus of it was about how influence works. The manipulation effects of today's music, influence, why you need to be ready for it, what it does, marketing, how all of that comes into play. And it was a fun class, and the kids had a good time. But it was a lot of that, where you really have to break them down, because they're going on what they think they know based on Google. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, when you think you know so much, especially when somebody is talking to you about something that happened even before you were born, but you still think you know.
Well, I got one for you.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, it's frustrating.
On my YouTube channel, Now Without Alonzo, N.W.A. Stories, N.W.A. Stories with Alonzo, I made a comment about Cube. Okay, I thought Cube, because once I said Cube wasn't a gangbanger. Okay, and he never was a gangbanger.
No.
But when it came to his business, he gangstered his business.
Right.
If you want, putting it in a slang way. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I said, now Dre got more money than Cube do, but Cube has body of work supersedes Dre's. Dre got $1 billion. That ain't what I said. Okay, I said Cube got multiple movie franchises. Cube got a body of work musically. Cube also has his own movie. He got various movies.
Oh,
okay,
yeah. Cube is doing well, very well,
and his own league that he created. So when you actually things that he owned, now Dre made more money, but when it comes down to ownership and control of his legacy, okay, yes, Dre got cashed out a lot of money from Beats, but when it comes down to it, Cube has done more. He's diversified. Just like Tupac. Okay, Tupac did movies and platinum albums and got killed all before he's 25 years old. Mm-hmm. So they asked about Biggie. Biggie never did a movie.
Right.
Okay. Now he may have been a great rapper, but these kind of debates when you look back and see all of the man has done, not just how much money he made. That's just the score. Okay. How did he play the game? Okay. What game was he playing? Was he playing a short game? Because everybody can't get as blessed as Dre did. And I no disrespect to the money whatsoever, but it's another way. If you don't get that hit, what happens then?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I understand fully, and so I guess basically what I'm trying to get at is this. I don't like seeing. We have to be vigilant as a society.
Yes.
One of the things about there's a lot of things we go through as Americans. I know there's a lot of topics we could talk about. At the end of the day, I believe.
You know what, man? Let's do this once a week.
That's cool with me.
This is my equipment. I can do it. All you gotta do is show up. I ain't gonna cost you no money, nothing. We can do this once a week.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, man.
Let's do some Let's do a game episode once a week.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll pick a man issue. I'm not anti-woman. I'm just pro men. Okay, I love women to death. I got 3 daughters. Okay,
right.
But I see that men are manipulated more so. Well, everybody gets manipulated, but it's really sad to see a brother get caught up over and over again, because we have a friend that's attached to us that gets us into more trouble than we can ever get ourselves out of. Okay. And that trouble when you're young can follow you for 18 years. And if you don't know how to fight, you don't know how to deal with that, you'll find yourself in a situation that you could never recover from, man. You'll be done before you get started. Yeah. So these are kind of things that I like to talk about with the brothers. Okay. Right. This is, if a sister want to chime in, that's fine. I'm not a chauvinist. I'm not. I swear I'm not. But I just see so many youngsters don't have anybody to talk to about certain male issues.
And it goes to what I'm trying to say. It's like, look, here's the thing. Here's the thing at the end of the day. There's a lot of things that went down over the past, like when we grew up, like I just mentioned to you, there's a lot of things we went through that we could share with you that would help you become a little bit more aware of things that will enable you to see clearly, and we watched a lot of schemes take root and blossom. I told you about political correctness. Now all this labeling. Whenever you're trying to talk, people want to label you. Right. People are scared to talk because you're going to be labeled a racist. You're going to be labeled homophobic.
What are they going to call us? What do you think they're going to call us?
I don't know, man. But I hopefully haven't said anything for people to label us. But the point I'm trying to make is, look, the only way you get the truth and understanding and the only way we can ride as a society as a whole is we have to communicate. We can't shut ourselves down and just become so dependent on what they telling us is truth. You can't be told the truth. You have to research the truth.
I was always taught, ask questions.
Yeah, you got to ask questions. You got to question everything, question everybody. I mean, you have to. If you don't, things are going to change in front of you that you could have helped correct.
Right.
But it's going to be too late.
Right.
Because you fell asleep at the wheel. And when somebody is trying to come to the table with life experiences that help you with the current issues, you can't dismiss them.
Right.
You can't depend on Google to replace what somebody lived. I mean,
you can't go to Google and find out how to deal with baby mama drama. You can't go do it. You can't go. You can find the definition, but you can't go to Google and find out how to deal with baby mama.
And you ain't gonna search Google and look up at every other pandemic or social uproar we've had, and people ran out and got toilet tissue and paper.
Right.
I mean, toilet paper and water.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you have to ask yourself, why is this type of stuff happening? Why are people saying what they're saying? Why are people coming to these conclusions? Why are people so easily manipulated? All these little things are valid questions.
That's true. Hey man, we had an hour already, dude.
Oh man,
let's keep it to an hour. That's gonna be the format. We're gonna do 1 hour of grown ass man enlightenment every week. My name is Lonzo. I'm the Godfather of West Coast hip hop, and on my side I have
E Stone, baby.
From what?
Hip Hop Quotables. It's about the lyrics. HHQ. It's about the lyrics.
Go to my YouTube channel, folks. You'll see this in my feed. N.W.A. Stories with Alonzo. That's how you find us. Or go to my website, LonzoWilliams.com.
And Facebook, Hip Hop Quotables. It's about the lyrics. Hip Hop Quotables - It's about the lyrics on Facebook.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.